it is better we get prepared, and once we are prepared, we will know how to cope when it started new.
Okay.
Small.
Okay. I wanted to ask, so that we'll be guided in this conversation. What are those commonest causes of fire outbreaks, especially in this season, and what should we do to prevent them? And even when they happen, what are the immediate first aid measures that we can take before the arrival of your people?
All right. You see, when you say what you will do to prevent them from happening, when you are in a building, first check that you must have the first aid firefighting equipment, which are fire extinguishers. You must install fixed installations like the water main, that is what they call it, water mains, where water can pass through a pipe, especially in the case of 2-story, 3-story building, so that whenever there's a fire at any floor, the thing that would the expected thing is the fire service will plug their hose on the hose water mains, and they will go and fight the fire. So hose reels, you know that thing that is red that you can unroll and roll. Hose reel can be installed. These are fixed installations in a building. Then all these things are not automatic. They cannot just operate. You need to train the personnel on how to use this equipment to fight fire when it happens. So these are the prevention measures. These are the things to put in place in the building before even you start the business. And let me also chip in this, that most people, because we smoke detectors are to detect smoke, and we have automatic fire suppression system like FM200, like all those things that if you fix them, they automatically activate once there is a smoke that is, they sense smoke, and once the smoke has been sensed, they are activated and extinguish the fire. But even when there's no human intervention. Yes. So those are automatic fire suppression system. However, what I wanted to chip in is this. How many of us, how many of this organization do sensitize people, do think about safety precautions in their domain? So, and that is why the new leader that we have in FCT Fire Service, Engineer Zakios Adebayo, is made it mandatory for a fire prevention office, which we have a unit called fire prevention, to go to premises and sensitize them about fire safety so that they won't have this kind of issue. But in most cases, we are also expecting that people will invite us because we can't go around, we can't know every place in Abuja or its environs. We can't be everywhere. So you need to write to us, inviting us to come and sensitize your people. And most people have been doing, most organizations that are safety conscious have been doing it. And we are really, really applauding them for doing so.
Yes. So you've not mentioned, what are the commonest causes so that people will know and then they can be able to be careful?
When we talk about commonest causes, the commonest of it all is carelessness. Actually, we have two major causes. One is the natural, and the other one is man-made. Natural causes can be earthquake, tsunami, tornado, hurricane. All this can be the natural causes, which by the grace of God, we thank God in this
part of the
world, in our own part of the world, we don't experience all these natural disasters. However, the man-made is so rampant. Man-made can be categorized also into two. One is negligence or carelessness, and the other one is arson, which is deliberate. When we talk about carelessness, we are talking about the omission or commission of human beings to your environment. One, you are overloading your socket. You should know that you have exerted much more pressure on that particular socket. So by doing so, it will give in one day. It has started heating up. It's like you now. You have power to carry a 50 kg cement, the bag of cement. Then somebody now give you 100 kg. You will quickly drop the. So after some time, the whole thing will be depleted and it will turn to fire. Then what about storing of inflammable materials or substances in the stores? Like we have in the case of one place in Lagos that they stored warfare materials for a long time, only for one day that the whole thing.
Yes.
Yes. I think one cantonment.
Yes.
So
Ikeja cantonment. Remember that, yeah.
You see, so also look at the one that happened in Canadian Embassy. Let me give this scenario now. Their generator house is where you expect heat to be generated once the generator is active. So then you now install a storage tank, diesel, inside the generator house. So with time, the generator has been heating up this tank, and that very day it gave in.
So that was what happened at the Canadian Embassy?
It busted. It busted. And the tank was installed at the entrance point. So the people that were working inside were four staff. There was no way to enter to come out. So that is why we had that fatal injury of 2 of them, and then the 2 others have sustained various degrees of injury. So that is one of the things that is causing carelessness. That is one of the carelessness. Now, another thing is, what about cooking in the kitchen and unattended to? You are not an inattention kind of cooking, or in the parlor as well, or your sitting room. You have done a lot of things. You have put water on the fire. Probably you are tired for the day. You just doze off, and that will cause fire as well. So one thing is that one thing at a time is being careful. If you are cooking in the kitchen, then let your attention be in the kitchen, and don't be in the kitchen as well as in the sitting room watching a very interesting program. Movie.
So what about those who they have a spare gas cylinder, and then while one is powered, the other one is kept beside it? And of course, we know that also has a way of generating heat. Or some people whose gas cylinder is leaking, and then you see that they place a heavy stone on top of it with, what about, speak to those people?
Actually, those are what we call unsafe acts, because there are 2 things that are tied to things that are causing hazards. Unsafe acts, that is human error from your own self as a staff, as a personnel, or as somebody who is not following safety regulations in the home. So unsafe condition, that is the condition you met the organization putting you to. For example, now we are in Aso TV. Let's say there's no fire extinguisher in Aso TV, just for example. You can see that the management have put us in an unsafe condition. But if they have adequate fire extinguisher, they've done their best. But if you are now the type that is practicing unsafe acts, then it is your own fault being practicing unsafe acts. So people that put fire cylinder, gas cylinder in the kitchen, they are trying to say, oh, when this one is exhausted, I can quickly switch to this one. You have tried to solve one problem, but you have created another problem. Another problem you have created is that there's a time bomb in the kitchen, and it can explode anytime. So by the time the heat is generated, and it is affecting the cylinder, the moment the cylinder gives in, and there will be more explosion. And one thing about fire is that it starts small. And when it starts small, you can use first aid firefighting equipment like fire extinguisher to extinguish it. But gas fire doesn't start small. The moment fire starts small elsewhere, and it has extended to a cylinder that's been kept in the kitchen, honestly, it has become a very bad situation, because it will explode and the whole house is gone. But putting the gas cylinder outside the kitchen is the best practice. So that let it serve as a switch to your electricity, switch to your burner. By the time you go outside, you switch it on, you turn on the knob, you go to the kitchen, you get to the gas burner, you start manipulating the knob, putting it on, and then putting it off when you are done. So when you are done, also go to the cylinder and switch it off, so that there won't be any passage of the fuel from the hose to the burner. And in most cases too, don't leave any remnants of the fuel on the hose even after the cooking, because what we'll do is that we have class A type of fire, class B type of fire, class C and D type of fire. Class C is the one that involves gaseous materials. So by the time you switch off the cylinder and you still have the cylinder, what is it called? The fuel in the hose. By the time there's a fire, maybe from a stabilizer or something else, it can also get to the burner. And once there's a remnant of the fuel in the hose, it will still lead the fire more. Definitely. So the best thing is you can go to the burner and to the cylinder, put it off, and while the burner is still burning. So by the time it exhausts the remaining, it will just turn off, and then you're now off the knob. All right. You have done the best practice. You've
spoken so well and so much about the need for training and retraining. At the FCT Fire Service, you did mention that you have a fire prevention unit. Do you also have enough manpower that will cater to the needs, especially with respect to training to the organizations, homes, and other people who may need this training? Because, like you said, you can have every other thing intact, especially the first aid, fire prevention equipment, but if you don't have a trained person who knows how to use it, it's as good as you don't have it. And this now makes the training very, very imperative. So do you have you have enough personnel on ground who can be able to go around to provide this very much needed training? And how can people be able to reach your organization to be able to access this service?
All right, thank you so much. When you talk about manpower, at a point when FCT Fire Service was established, we had few personnel. But you can see that the city is also growing.
Yes.
So more companies, more firm organizations are coming into the city of Abuja. So manpower that we had then cannot sustain, cannot be sustainable, and it cannot serve the population that is coming into the Abuja city. So we now have more manpower as well. But let me also confess this on this the international TV station that we still need more personnel. Okay. We need more fire stations to cover the areas in Abuja, because we have about 14 fire stations in Abuja right now as we speak. Okay. In area councils, we have at least one each. And yes, each. And in what they call it, in Gwagwalada, we even have 2, because we have one in Gwagwalada and we have one in Zuba. Zuba is under Gwagwalada Area Council. We have 2 in Buhari, because Buhari has 1, Kubwa is other Buhari Area Council. So we also have 1 in Kubwa. So all others, we have 1, like that. But honestly, to be honest with you, they are not sufficient. They are inadequate, because in Maitama alone, we need about 3 fire stations. We don't have any in Maitama. In Gwarimpa, we have only 1 fire station. We need about 5 fire stations in Gwarimpa. You know how large, how big Gwarimpa is. Up to Galadima, up to very close to all these Kagini and so. Yes. We need opposite Kubwa. So we need more fire stations. And if you are building more fire stations, you will need more personnel to mount the fire stations. So that is why we say we are having personnel for training, but in the fire prevention units have enough personnel right now. Okay. They are trying their best to see that they get to many organizations, they've gone to many, and many of these organizations who are safety conscious have been writing to us in FCT Fire Service, and we have been rendering these services to them. Let me also chip in this, that it is not enough for the organization to write. It is not enough for the organization to wait for us to come to their premises, to come and sensitize them. Let them also take it as this responsibility to come and train their staff, write to us and tell them that we want to train special marshals for our organizations. So this train the trainers course, which we are ready to give, we have been doing it. Let them come and train their people so that they will go back and train other personnel. So, and that is what we're introducing now. And also, we have a very good ministers in FCT right now that we know that is a workaholic, is a Mr. Doing man,
Mr. Project.
We know his antecedent, and we believe that he will bring a lot of changes to us, because right now we have made it known to him that we have, even some of the equipment we are having today are obsolete. Let me be factual. They are obsolete. We are managing them. We are managing them, and you know, cost of repair is even more
than getting
a new one. So we need new modern firefighting facilities or equipment to fight these fires. And then we are also setting up FCT Fire Service, Fire Safety and Rescue Academy. You can see the issue of the training you are talking about. People can now come there and even do a regular course and get diploma and get degree, and that one is coming up soon. I just use this opportunity to let the public know that even we have stepped further, not limiting it to that local kind of arrangement training, and then it's going to be certificated and it's going to be internationally recognized.
All right, although we're drawing closer to the end of the program, but quickly I would like to ask, because as you rightly mentioned earlier, Abuja is growing.
Of course.
And as the city expands, there is also the need for expansion of services, especially like the kind of services that you provide. We know also that we live in modern times where technology is the in thing. We have seen in other countries, advanced countries such as Dubai, where, for example, you can be seated here and control a drone that will carry water and chemical and every other thing and fly from here without having necessarily to use the roads where there will be traffic and all of that. It can just take off from here within the next 1 minute. It's in Gwarimpa, quenching fire. Are you also thinking in that direction?
Yes, we're also thinking in that direction. It's just that going the smart way, because that is the smart firefighting. We are going towards that direction, and it is part of the things we have written to the Honorable Minister. Although one thing is that we are yet to meet with him physically. Our boss is trying his effort to make sure that once he has the opportunity to meet with him, they will discuss all these things. And these things cannot be achieved in one day. We know very well that we are getting closer to getting them. And before even that is knowing the place that is on fire. For example, now there's fire in Gwarimpa, we should be able to see it in our office. Yes, there's a particular fire in Gwarimpa, and then we turn out the Gwarimpa fire station to fight the fire. So most of this technology they have come in, and we have started installing them one after the other. We know that we'll get there soon. Are there contacts that you would like to share with the general public in case they need your service as quickly as possible? Of course. Our hotline fire service number in FCT is 09290-6118. I repeat, 09290-6118. And we also have national emergency number, which is 112. In case that person that is making the call is not having credit or is not having airtime in his phone, he can use 112, which is a toll-free line for calling. But one thing about the 112 is that it's a national emergency number. All other emergency services are also attached to it, not only fire service. So once you put a call through, they will now channel it to the fire service, and the fire service will turn out the nearest fire station to the fire scene. Thank you so much. So as we call it a day on the on this segment of the program, very quickly, just for like the next 30 seconds, advise FCT residents, especially in this very moment that we are in, going into, especially our women who are always in the kitchen, who are mostly in the kitchen, as it were, on what to do, especially when fire happens immediately. Should they panic and run away, or is there something they can do immediately? The first thing is, let us be prepared. The first thing, being prepared, then we must make sure we have firefighting equipment that is, because that is part of the being prepared. Number two is, let us get a little training and know what we do. Number three, please, all the carelessness that has to do with overloading of sockets, children playing with matches, cooking unattended to, and making phone call very close to filling station, making phone call close to generator, making phone call even in the kitchen. All these things should not be practiced. It should be, you know, we should know that those things can cause fire. And then in the most very, very, very important, you should have fire service contact, because what really transpired in Samsung and make the fire to be that big before fire service came around was because none of them called except a good Samaritan that knows personal number of somebody that now called the person and they now turn out for the fire. All
right, there you have it. We've been speaking with the Superintendent of Fire, Ibrahim Muhammad Tauheed. He's the Public Relations Officer of FCT Fire Service, and we've been discussing curbing incessant fire incidents in the FCT and, of course, in Nigeria at large. It's been a very educative and enlightening segment of the show, but this is where we call it a day on the show this morning. My name is Usman Katun Umar, but before that, I have to thank you very much for coming, Mr. Ibrahim.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that when we invite you next time again, you will be here because, of course, as we approach the season, this is your moment for consistent enlightenment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear listener, for investing your morning with us. We hope that you've been able to gain a thing or two throughout the various segments of the show. We hope that you enjoy the rest of the day and have a very fulfilling day. My name is Usman Katun Umar once again. Bye-bye for now.